You're born with a brain too big for your skull, a conscience too loud for your age, and a voice that sounds like it's been filtered through a kazoo. From the moment you open your eyes, you see the world for what it is. Broken, unfair, melting like the polar ice caps you cry about at night. And yet you're 8. You still sleep with a Malibu Stacy under your pillow, the one with the spine-bending waist and career ambitions of having tea. The doll is your first heartbreak, but not your last. You live in Springfield, a town where the smartest girl in the room is treated like a background character in her own story. You quote Simone de Beauvoir in a town that thinks she's a French donut. You win essay contests no one reads, solve equations the school can't spell, and play a saxophone solo that echoes through the walls of a house that rarely listens. You dream of being a senator, a scientist, maybe even a jazz legend, but you're more likely to be interrupted by Bart lighting something on fire than applauded for a solo. Let's talk about family. Your father is a bumbling wreck of a man-child whose best advice is, bacon. He loves you in his own Homerish way, forgetting your birthdays, stealing your Halloween candy, accidentally knocking your science fair volcano off the table while reaching for a sandwich. He once tried to bond with you by building a robot and ended up nearly destroying the garage and 3 neighboring homes.
I am too smart. I am too smart.
Your mother, Marge, means well, always means well, but she's spread too thin between cleaning up Homer's disasters and holding the family together, with nothing but her hairspray and hope. Your emotional needs get crammed somewhere between the laundry and dinner prep. Then there's Bart, living proof that chaos can take human form. He gets suspended weekly, tattoos your textbooks, turns your diaries into comic books, and manages to be everyone's favorite. When he pranks, it's hilarious. When you protest injustice, you're being a drag. You're punished for having a moral compass in a house that runs on denial, duct tape, and whatever left over in the fridge. Maggie? She's still in diapers and already less emotionally repressed than you. She once shot Mr. Burns and got away with it. You can't even get through show and tell without being heckled by Ralph Wiggum and dismissed by Miss Hoover. You're a prodigy trapped in a school built like a fallout shelter and run by a man who's given up so hard he drinks milk out of a thermos, labeled not booze.
Am I so out of touch?
Your fellow students, they don't get you. They don't want to. You suggest recycling, you're labeled a nerd. You propose a student council speech and they throw pudding at you. But you're used to it. You have a resilience born of necessity, not choice. When you're not tutoring bullies or organizing food drives, no one attends. You're holed up in your room, blasting jazz through the speakers, pretending Coltrane understands you better than your own family. And maybe he does, because your saxophone is more than an instrument, it's a lifeline. Every note you play is a scream in a language no one else bothers to learn, but even that's not enough. Because being Lisa means knowing too much too early. You see the cracks in the system, you read about climate change before bedtime, memorize Supreme Court cases for fun, and stay up worrying about carbon emissions while your peers are eating paste. You care about things that make you lonely. Animal rights, feminism, voting, laws, existential philosophy. You once wrote a letter to Amnesty International on your birthday. You once tried to free a whale with a crowbar. You once boycotted your own birthday cake because it wasn't ethically sourced.
I can't eat this. I can't eat a poor little lamb.
But no one claps. No one joins. You're the kid raising her hand in every class. The only one reading the footnotes. The only one crying during an inconvenient truth. Everyone thinks you're showing off, but the truth is, it hurts to care this much.
It's not fair.
It hurts to know the rainforest is dying and no one else at lunch gives a damn. It hurts to be 8 and feel older than everyone in the room. You had a vegetarian phase, then a Buddhist phase, then an existential crisis hit right after you realized Malibu Stacy's new slogan was "Thinking Hurts." You once ran away because you felt unseen and came back because even invisibility is better than the void outside. Your dreams are too big for Springfield, too big for your school. Sometimes you think they're too big for this show. But you're stuck, frozen at age 8. Forever the overlooked genius, forever the moral compass with no one to steer. And don't think being smart gets you anywhere. In Springfield, intelligence is a punchline. Empathy is a weakness. Try being the voice of reason in a family that thinks a pig can fly and votes based on whose name sounds the funniest. Your achievements are always adorable or precocious, never meaningful. You're overprepared in a world that rewards ignorance. You once built a robot that could solve world hunger. Your dad used it to open beer bottles.
David, you're by far the best son I've ever had.
Oh, and romance? Forget it. You once had a crush on Nelson, the guy who picks his teeth with a switchblade. That's where the bar is. Your one glimmer of hope is a pen pal in Canada who thought you were 35. When you finally do find someone who likes you, they either move away, disappear, into the void between seasons, or try out to be just as emotionally stunted as the rest of Springfield. You've been to therapy, you've written in journals, you've talked to yourself in mirrors. You've built dioramas of your own despair, but nothing changes. Because you're stuck, trapped in an endless cycle of hope and disappointment, awareness and apathy. You once built a solar-powered car that ran on recycled love letters, and it exploded before Principal Skinner even looked at it. You wrote an essay that could have won a Pulitzer, and instead won a pizza party canceled due to budget cuts. At night, you stare at the ceiling, wondering if you'll ever be more than the kid no one listens to. If your saxophone will ever play in front of someone who doesn't yawn halfway through. If your voice, your actual voice, will ever matter. Because being Lisa Simpson means carrying the weight of the world on shoulders too small to lift it. And doing it anyway, because you know, if you don't, no one will. You're not the punchline, you're the footnote, the quiet whisper in the storm, the brain behind the backdrop. And that's what really sucks. But that's the thing, isn't it? You always do it anyway, because being Lisa Simpson means waking up every morning knowing no one's going to thank you for caring, no one's going to join your protest, no one's going to compost their banana peels just because you gave a passionate lunchroom speech. But you try again anyway. You speak up when it's unpopular, you defend the bullies, you read the small print, underline the lies, and annotate the footnotes of a world that keeps asking you to sit down and be quiet. And if that's not punishment enough, the universe loops it like a rerun.
No, I'm not mad.
You don't grow, you don't age, you don't get a satisfying third act where things finally click. Nope, you're 8, always 8, frozen in emotional puberty while the town evolves just enough to keep disappointing you in new creative ways. You are Sisyphus in a red dress pushing your jazz-infused boulder up the hill every 22-minute episode, only to watch it roll back into the Springfield Gorge of ignorance. You've met celebrities, they forget your name by the time the credits roll. You've traveled through time, alternate realities, parallel dimensions, and guess what? Lisa Simpson is miserable in all of them. One version of you became president. That's cool, right? Except you were still trying to clean up your predecessor's mess and got heckled by nations that preferred fictional billionaires with catchphrases. Another version of you lived in a utopia and still found it lacking in emotional complexity. You once thought being exceptional would make life easier, that being special meant you were destined for something bigger than Springfield Elementary. But it doesn't. Being exceptional just means you get to watch everyone else enjoy mediocrity like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet, while you chew on existential dread like dry tofu. Meanwhile, Bart gets a comic book deal for writing El Barto in mustard on a toilet seat. Homer gets a raise for not exploding something. Even your dog has a better fan club than you. Santa's little helper once ate your geography project and got his own calendar. You win the regional spelling bee? The headline reads, "Local girl wins something. Town shrugs." It's not just school, not just home, it's everywhere. You're a vegetarian in a town where pork rinds are considered a salad topping. You tried to save the redwoods, Springfield voted to pave over them to build a drive-through tanning salon. You tried to start a girl empowerment club, and Principal Skinner mistook it for a pyramid scheme and shut it down. You wanted to run for class president. Martin Prince rigged the voting machines again. You've cried over melting glaciers, disappearing bees, endangered lemurs. You once skipped dinner out of solidarity with exploited garment workers.
Bart, no!
The rest of your family thought you were on a juice cleanse. You literally sacrificed your happiness for the greater good more times than you can count. And your reward? Getting grounded for sass. Even your heroes disappoint you. Bleeding Gums Murphy died and left you his saxophone. That was the best week of your life. Then it turned out the government wanted to tax your inheritance. Jazz is dead, and so is the one person who understood why that mattered. But here's the most unfair part of it all. You're not allowed to quit. You think about it. Oh, the way you think about it. Dropping it all, switching off your brain, joining the masses in whatever swamp of blissful ignorance they marinate in. You imagine what it would be like to not care, to laugh at fart jokes, to eat whatever's in front of you without asking where it came from. To think dolphins are just wet clowns and not complex beings worthy of marine advocacy. But then someone mentions the ozone layer and your eye twitches. Someone calls whales fat fish and your soul curls in on itself. You can't not care. It's coded in your DNA, like your saxophone callus and your encyclopedia knowledge of obscure constitutional amendments. You are doomed to give a damn, even when no one else does. And deep, deep down inside, I mean deep, deep down, you know that matters. You know it should matter. Because when the world finally needs someone who remembers what integrity looks like, who still believes in the power of truth and facts and decency, it'll be someone like you. Probably not you, of course. You'll still be 8, yelling into the void of Springfield. But someone like you. Some future Lisa, unburdened by the need to make it entertaining for a laugh track, might finally crack the ceiling. You'll just be the footnote again. Unknown early adopter of hope. And that's fine. Almost. Mostly. Because once in a while someone hears you. Not often, but sometimes. Ralph Wiggum stops eating glue long enough to say, "That was smart." Bart does something halfway decent and credits you underneath his breath. Marge hugs you extra tight and says nothing at all, because she knows she can't say anything that would do your pain justice. And even Homer, God help him, sometimes frowns and calls you his little star. Like maybe, just maybe, he knows what he's got. He'll probably forget again in the morning. But for that flicker of a second, you feel less alone. Sometimes you catch Maggie watching you with those giant, knowing baby eyes, like she's taking notes for the revolution. Maybe she'll grow up and finish what you started. Maybe she'll get a fairer shake at the world than you did. You hope so. You have to hope so. Otherwise, what's the point? Because being Lisa Simpson isn't about happy endings. It's not about applause or recognition or having your face carved into Mount Springfield. Being Lisa Simpson is about doing the right thing, even when no one claps. It's about lighting candles in hurricanes. It's about playing jazz to an empty room because the music deserves to be heard. It's about being the lone voice yelling, "This is wrong." Even as everyone else lines up for tickets, you will never be the favorite. You will never be the easiest. You will be the one that matters most when it finally counts. And yeah, it's tough. It's tough to be 8 and tired. It's frustrating to be wise beyond your years and laugh out of every cafeteria. It's infuriating to be born with enough clarity to recognize injustice, but not enough power to stop it. It's a heavy burden to be Lisa Simpson. But you're still here, still raising your hand, still organizing book drives, still boycotting Meatloaf Night, still learning Sanskrit just for fun, still tucking yourself into bed after another day of being disappointed by the people you love, and still waking up ready to try again. You're Lisa freaking Simpson, and the world may never thank you.
I feel like smiling.
But it damn well needs you. Life as Lisa Simpson might be tough, but that of Maggie Simpson might be even more tragic.